Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, this was actually requested for a bit. I just never really got to it up until now, so we're going to look at Shiftry XL level 50 for regular Open Ultra League. So, okay, so disclaimer, before we analyze Shiftry, I just want to let you know, as an avid Shiftry lead user in Great League, and a Shadow Shiftry user, so I actually created the most powerful team that rivals BBML, and at one point the most powerful team statistically, using Shiftry in Great League. Now, in Great League, it has great use because of its ability to essentially one-shot a lot of things with foul play, and its dominance over Azu as well as the Mud Boys, and Leaf Blade just does so much damage. Shiftry can outpace a majority of the meta, and it can deal heavy damage with foul play / Leaf Blade. It has very dangerous kill ranges. Now, the reason why it's really hard, the reason why I'm using a disclaimer, it's really hard to use, okay? Shiftry requires you to have a lot of confidence, because the thing about Shiftry is very glassy. If I even scroll down, in Great League it's glassy, in Ultra Premier, or just even in Ultra League, if you look over here, it's very dangerous. It has a lot of stamina, but you look at the defense, it died. Yeah, it's a glass cannon from hell, okay? That's basically all I have to say. Grass and Dark is also an interesting archetype because the thing about Grass and Dark is that it leaves you weak to a lot of things. So if you scroll down here, you have arguably, okay, so 3, 6, you have 7 weaknesses, and then you have 7. So you literally have an even amount of weaknesses to resistances. So this is why Shiftry is it's a very powerful mon in a skilled user. It's a very dangerous mon to use as well because you are weak to so many things. In Open Ultra League, Charmers are prevalent. Machamp is also out there. Fire, as in like Chandelure, I suppose, or even Charizard for that matter. Flying types like Flyers. Let's see, Honchkrow comes to mind. I don't remember a lot of Flyers for Open Ultra League, but they can be out there. Ice types, Articuno is very prevalent. So is those Ice Punches from Poliwrath and Lapras. Poison, probably not as much poison fast damage, however, Sludge Wave will probably OKO you if you get hit with it with an Amok. And it is also weak to Bug, which means X-Scissors, Mega Horns from Excavaliers. It's very dangerous to use. However, you also have, that doesn't mean it's like that doesn't mean it doesn't come without its resistances. For example, you are double resistant to Psychic, so Cresselia, if they use a Grass Knot Cresselia, and if they use a Grass Knot Cresselia, yes, they have Moonblast, which will hit you really, really hard, but you don't have to worry about the Psycho Cuts as well as Grass Knot. But Dark is probably Umbreon, Electric, which is, trying to think of electric typings in Open Ultra League. Thundershocks from Melmetal. Ghost types like Giratina, Grass, Ground, and Water like Swampert. So there's a lot of things that really give you a good, like Shiftry is very, very powerful as an XL. You have equal resistances and weaknesses. However, if you are able to match it correctly against its typings and you have a lot of confidence in your abilities and in Shiftry's ability to eat damage, then you could do very well. And the reason being is because it has Snarl as well as Leaf Blade and Foul Play. Snarl allows you to generate energy quickly. In 9 turns you get to a Leaf Blade because it's 13 energy Snarl, 35 energy for Leaf Blade. So in 9 turns you can get to your charge move, which is really good. Foul Play requires 45 energy, so it takes 4 Foul Play, 4 Snarls to get to. So in force, you get to your charge moves insanely quickly. And because of that, Shiftry puts a lot of pressure in its positive matchups, and 9 times out of 10, even if it's weak to something like a Lapras, your Lapras will probably shield because that Leaf Blade does a lot of damage. It also has access to Hurricane. Hurricane allows you to take out fighters, and it gives you that extra oomph. For if you're able to, if you're able to hit a Hurricane on a lot of things, it will one-shot because of Shiftry's attack. Especially if it's weak to it. So Shiftry, very dangerous. However, it can be very powerful in Open Ultra League. Alright, here we have the PvPoke.com rankings. And as you see, the Dark Elf / Jiraiya, whichever one you want to call it, Shiftry can resemble many things, and it's actually really cool. I love the design. So Shiftry in Open Ultra ranks at number 21 and number 22. Top 50 isn't that bad. It actually has a very high score. Now the Shadow actually does better than the regular version. However, both of them have actually even ratings. They're literally like neck and neck as far as like rating goes. As you see, there's very minimal differences between one and the other. Very, very minimal. So Shadow will threaten a lot, and so does the regular version. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to analyze the regular version. We'll put the Shadow in we'll put the Shadow in there, but because they have the same rating, generally they're going to be like pretty much this. They'll perform almost equally, or in certain scenarios they'll be very specific. So I'm not going to make your head hurt. We're just going to do the regular one, and then we'll put the Shadow one in the Matrix for science. As you see here, both of them are still, like, see, their positions and their ratings are very similar. Powerful as a lead. If you win the lead with it, it's really great because you can do a lot of things with this Pokemon. Your Shiftry will force shields from your opponent, or it can one-shot a lot of things. That's why it has a 931 rating against Swampert. It pretty much walls Swampert because Swamperts in Open Ultra don't have Sludge Wave. So if you are able to lock it against a Swampert, that's pretty great. You also beat Poliwrath, Lapras, Cresselia, and Giratina A. So it has those are very relevant Metamons. It's kind of the anti-meta to the meta. However, because it has so many weaknesses, like I mentioned, and it's a glass cannon, you have to really protect it or line it up correctly. So, again, in the lead, very powerful. Mostly in the lead, it's okay. It's good in the other positions as well. However, it really depends on how many shields you have and how much energy. Energy and shields really matter when it comes to Shiftry. Unless you have a very dominant matchup, like with Swampert, etc., etc. Because if Cresselia has Moonblast, you have the shield. Again, in the lead, Shiftry ranks at actually the number 15 lead. That is very impressive. Regular Shiftry is better than Shiftry XL. I'm just kidding, it's not. But you know what? That number is incredibly impressive. So as you see, Shiftry XL is able to take on a lot of basically what I mentioned before: Giratina, Swampert, Cresselia, Poliwrath, Lapras. Obstagoon sucks because fighters do heavy damage. You even lose to Melmetal because yes, you resist those Thunder Shocks, but those superpowers hurt. Charizard will take you out. Excavalier, because Pseudo Fighters have a strong matchup against Shiftry just because it can punch you down, and you have to foul play. So having to Excavalier puts you in a bad position, and at the same time, Alolan Muck also walls you. So Alolan Muck is a poison dark type. So because it's a poison dark type, guess what? Poison resists Leaf Blade because it's a grass type, and dark resists dark. So Alolan Muck is your worst nightmare if you run into it. In the closer, however, that's not to say because you actually do heavy damage with Leaf Blade, you could still do heavy damage with the Shiftry. So, in the closer, Shiftry ranks at number 97. Not preferred as the closer. Like I mentioned, you need shields with Shiftry. The only time it's good in the closer is if you have a really strong matchup, or if you can put something in one-shot range. So that's why Shiftry is very dangerous. If you need in the closer, it's almost required for you to have lead or energy advantage. Otherwise, you die. It's that simple. Shiftry, being a glass cannon, can die to a lot of things, especially if it's super effective. That's why Melmetal has a 713 rating, because guess what? You get superpowered to death. Punching hurts. Shiftry don't like punching, and guess what? When you punch Dark Elf in the face, guess what? Dark Elf dies. Very, very fast. And we'll find on the Matrix just to see how Shadow and the regular one does. As you see, their positions kind of bounce, but generally they're the same thing. As a switch, you don't want to use Shiftry as a switch. Shiftry ranks number 39 as a switch. However, like I mentioned before, you die to Charmers, you die to Articuno, you die to Amok, Obstagoon, Venusaur. It's just a lot of things that can kill you. However, that doesn't mean you can beat Melmetal, Excavalier, Cresselia, Swampert, and Giratina. So you have to really know your matchups and line up Shiftry correctly. One false mistake can cost the entire match for you, because it can either make Shiftry a liability, or it can be your enemy's worst nightmare. Alright, here we go. Here's the PvPoke.com Matrix. As I always say, please consider donating at PvPoke.com. Now, here we have Shiftry at level 50. Here's a level 50 Shiftry. Here's level 51. So here's a best buddy one. If you decide to best buddy it, we'll see exactly. I always do the 50-51. It's always a good comparison because best buddy can flip matchups and in specific scenarios might actually do well for you. I also have the shadow one here at level 50. I'm not going to do it for best buddy. Shadows are hard to come by, so I'm just going to do level 50 just to put it out there. And then here's level 40. Always good to see why the level 40 loses. Now I'm going to run the 2 shield. As you see, I have the 2 shield here. I have the open Ultra League meta to the right. We run the 2 shield, and here we get... So... That's a lot of losses in the 2 shield. But you know what? We'll work with it. So here you be... So... You're going to lose in Articuno, Charizard, Clefable, Obama Snow. So anything Shiftry is weak against, especially in Ultra League, you can't really make too many plays out of it. You can win with the Shadow. As you see, Shadow can actually take out Dragon Breath Zard and Obama Snow. The issue with this right here is that you have to call baits correct. As you see, you have to bait perfectly if you go against Shadow Obama. You have to double bait with the Leaf Blades, and then you have to hit the Foul Play, which does enough damage, and plus enough Seeming Starl to actually take out Obama Snow. This is really hard. Do not depend on this. If you stay in with the 2 shield and you manage to pull it off, that's great. However, it has to be a Shadow. It has to be a Shadow Obama Snow. And it can't be level 50. If this is a level 50 Obama, you will lose against it. So generally, just stay away from it. If you see Obama in the lead and you match it with Shadow Shiftry, run. Same thing with Charizard. Charizard, it's not very dependable. You have to double bait and then you have to foul play in the end. So it's not very dependent. As you see, Shiftry level 50 this is where it's great. Shiftry is kind of a great anti-Metamon because it's able to take out Cresselia. You have a convincing win against Cresselia against all variations, even if it was level 40. So as you see here, level 40 Shiftry does well. Now, as you see here, there's a lot of plays you could do. You have to shield the Moonblast. This is the problem here. Moonblast does heavy damage. It takes out more than half. It actually does like 70% of your HP, so you have to shield. Now the good thing is, if you dominate this matchup, as you see here, you actually come as matchup with some residual energy. So you come out of this with some energy, so you can take out Cresselia. Now you kind of have to bait. Here's the thing: you can't go straight foul play. You can't go straight foul play. It's too much energy. And well, you can, but it's really, like, here's the thing. I would try to bait at least once. So try to catch at least one bait. Because these Psycho Cuts don't do it. You see what? Psycho Cut only does 1 damage to you because you resist it. As you see, it only does 1 damage. So because it only does 1 damage, you can kind of, there's a lot of play here. So I would try to bait at least once. You can just go straight foul play. So straight foul play, it's your choice. But the issue is if you try to go straight foul play and they debuff you early, it is dangerous. So if you apply debuffs, as you see here, it gets a little dangerous. If you apply 2 holy mother of never mind, I am wrong. Wow. Okay, never mind. Foul play the crap out of this thing. Foul play, dear God, you see Big Space Duck turning into roasted turkey with the foul play. Cook it with foul play. No, literally, just straight foul play. Straight foul play, because even if they, holy mother, even if they double debuff you, you could still KO it. That's nuts. Just straight foul play. Just straight foul play. So with Cresselia, you don't even need a bait, just straight foul play. I heavily recommend you do, because you're going to come out of that matchup anyways with only 9 energy, even if you did bait with Leaf Blade. And the thing about that matchup is that whatever comes in is probably going to kill you very quickly, enough to where you're not going to get another move off anyway. So you might as well just straight foul play against Cresselia matchup. That's pretty big. Especially since Cresselia is so popular in Ultra. You're also able to you lose against Dragonite just because of Dragon Breath damage. Glass Cannon, again, Glassy. Same thing with Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite, you can beat it, but you have to foul play. You have to double bait and foul play. You beat Drifblim, but you have to shield. Drifblim, you beat Empoleon because you resist Waterfall, but you have to shield. Again, you have to shield. Yes, you can eat 1 Icy Wind over here, as you see. However, wow. I think you can just straight foul play. You could straight foul play. I think you could straight foul play. Come on. Come on, show me the way. Yep, straight foul play. Show me the way, just straight foul play. Yep. Against Drifblim and Cresselia, you could straight foul play. Against Empoleon, you could literally Leaf Blade to death. Like, this is what's nuts. Shiftry's pressure is ridiculous. As you see, you take out the Burb, you can live a drill. It won't ever get to another move. So very strong matchups, as you see here. Very strong against the immediate meta. Yes, it kind of sucks if you see Obstagoon lead or Articuno, but you know what? You got to make do with what you got, and it's if you do win some, you'll win some, you lose some. As you see here, you're able to take out Gallade, you even take out Gengar and Ferrothorn. Now, here's the tricky part. You lose against Gear Altered if it has Dragon Breath. If it has Shadow Claw, on the other hand, which most variations I've seen do because of its charging ability, you could take it out just going, as you see, you could take it out pretty comfortably. I don't know if you can straight foul play a Giratina A, though. So let's see if you can straight foul play. Straight foul play. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're gonna take a ton of damage, but you know what? You can actually just straight foul play and take out Giratina Altered. Because most Giratina Altereds most Giratina Altereds will Dragon Claw you because that's the best move with Stab. However, it has Dragon Breath, you will lose, unfortunately. With Dragon Breath, Giratina Altered, that's the issue. Dragon Breath does do heavy damage, and it will take you out before you can even get to another foul play. As you see here, yes, they drain energy, but you will lose this matchup convincingly. So I would break shields and then pivot out if you can. You beat Gear O, however, Gear O does have, unless Gear O has Dragon Pulse, so don't eat the Dragon Pulse, but generally you can just like tank the O, you can tank a Giratina Origin if it's carrying Shadow Ball, Shadow Claw. You beat Lapras 2 in the 2 shield. This is where it's really good. Lapras in the 2 shield is you're very strong against Lapras 2 shield. As you see here, Straight Leaf Blade is the way. Straight Leaf Blade is the way. And you could just literally, you do a ton of... Try not to get an Ice Shard through, though. If they get an Ice Shard through, it does a ton of damage. So you can let one Ice Shard get through, but that's all you can afford, because it'll do 14 damage. You win CMP, though, so just be very careful. Just be very... Now, I don't even need to tell you, going back to the Matrix, I don't even need to tell you to be careful of if you see a Charmer or Fighter run, no, seriously, just do it. You get deleted. It doesn't matter what you do, you will get walled by Fighters and Charmers. It takes only 6 charms to absolutely delete you from existence. You get walled completely. There's nothing you can do. A Leaf Blade can possibly take out a Granbull at a certain range or a certain Pokemon. As you see, it does 83 damage, so if it does have chip damage and you can get a Leaf Blade off, you can take this matchup. However, 9 times out of 10, it's a very dangerous thing. So if you get locked into a Charmer or a Fighter, it's almost an auto loss, at least for that battle. So just be very careful. Now, the good thing is, against Melmetal, this isn't a bad rating. You actually die to the superpower, as you see here. If you can actually tank the Rock Slide. If you block the superpower, so say you call the first superpower. If you could block the first superpower, as you see here. So wait, hold on. Oh wait, hold on. Nope. So you can take a Rock Slide. You can take a Rock Slide. As you see, Rock Slide does 72 damage. It hurts, but not hurt. It doesn't hurt that much. It lives with like 1 HP. So if you can block, so you can actually take both like Rock Slides. If you block the superpowers, you can wait, what? Wait, Nani? Wait, what? Wait, what? Yes, you block, yes, shield this, shield that. Don't shield the Rock Slide, so you Rock Slide, and then... Oh, you still die because you get... oh, you die because of the Thunder Shock. Okay. So, regardless of however you try to play this out, you're gonna... This Melmetal will... Wow. So, Melmetal will live with 1 HP. That's literally what happens. You have to... Even if you... So, Melmetal... What I would do in this scenario, if you found a Melmetal lead in a 2-shield, I would just force Melmetal shields. Try to force as many shields as you can. Yes, Melmetal wins, as you see here. However, it has to use both of its shields, and then you can try and farm it down. So, this isn't a horrible rating, but try to put as much pressure as you can on Melmetal, because you're going to lose it regardless of what you do. So, either switch out or put as much pressure as you can on Melmetal. As you see, Mewtwo, you beat Armored Mewtwo, of course. You're going to lose against Ama, because like I mentioned, it walls you. Fighters suck. Obstagoon will punch you down to death. It's even worse if it boosts. If it boosts, you're extra screwed. Poliwrath can ice punch you to death. Registeel is also dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend you staying with Registeel. Registeel, because in Great League, it's not as oppressive as it is in Ultra League, but in Ultra League, because it has extra bulk and it actually does better at Ultra League, it's going to do very well against you, as you see here. Especially, this isn't even a level 51. even if you were able to hit foul plays through, as you see here, like double bait and then just foul play, it can still live long enough to take you out. So Registeel, to get out of there with Registeel. Same thing with Scizor. Scizor does resist Leaf Blade. You can't go straight foul play. Bullet punches will do enough damage to take you out. And like I mentioned with Togekiss, Charmer's Run, Toxicroak Run. However, you can beat Snorlax just because you resist Lick, and you can take out Swampert because Mudboy's died a Leaf Blade really fast. So as you see, in the lead, Shiftry is really good. However, you're gambling a lot because of the fact that it's Charmers, etc. So I would definitely have two things that cover Shiftry's weaknesses if you plan on running Shiftry. But as you see, Shiftry does very well against a lot of top meta picks. It does very, very well against them, and you could go straight foul play against a lot of matchups. Now that's the 2 shield. We're going to switch it to the 1 shield. Here's the 1s, and we hit battle. I really want to key in the 2 shields because Shiftry does need shields. The 2 shields is probably where you're going to see Shiftry the most. In the 1 shield, Shiftry goes down hard. As you see here, you win. You still beat like a lot of the meta. For example, Swampert, Snorlax. You flip Poliwrath in the 1 shield because you're able to Leaf Blade it down. You still beat Armored Mewtwo. You also beat Lapras, Gira-O, Gira-A, Gengar, Ferrothorn, as well as Cresselia still. So you still take out Cresselia. You still take out what you beat from before. The issue is that, as you see, if you start weighting down shields, things get really iffy. Matchups that if you make the comparison, you actually losing the same things in the 1s than you would the 2s. It's just against Melmetal, you just actually like straight up just lose. That's basically what it is. You just straight up, well, you still lose straight up in the 2s, but just not as bad as the 1 shield. But generally, the 2 shield and the 1 shield are the same. You will beat what you beat, you will lose against what you beat. And you can still just straight foul play Cresselia to death. And you see here, if you got Shiftry, if you straight foul play, I believe you could straight foul play, and then it won't ever get to another. Nope, not do that. Okay, so we go there, just don't foul play, take out just foul play. Bam. That's the great thing about Shiftry. Shiftry has so much damage that you can straight foul play. I wouldn't rely on Shadow. As you see, Shadow can flip specific matchups, but you have to break the shield. And it's not worth noting so, as you see, with Shadow, you lose against Poliwrath. You also have worse there's also, yeah, I just wouldn't risk it. The regular version just does so well. As you see, against the Dragon Breath version, you could actually take out the Dragon Breath version of Giratina if you have the regular version. Shadow does not, and I'm assuming you can straight foul play. That's the great thing. With Shiftry, you can go risky and try to bait. However, theoretically, I would just foul play. So foul play right here. Okay, Shiftry can win straight foul play. So as you see, you could still just straight foul play. So that's the only matchup I think you can flip in this scenario. In the 2 and the 1s, they're generally the same. You beat what you lose against. However, you can actually win against... You can actually beat Giratina A straight foul play in the 1. So you pick it up in the 1 shield, which is still good. Alright, so in the 2s and the 1s, as you see, Shiftry is a fantastic anti-Metamon, and it does a lot of damage. Now, in the no shield... still does good in the closer. In the closer, you get destroyed. Well, not really destroyed, but in the closer, you will lose against Cresselia because, like I mentioned, you need shields against Cresselia, and it's preferred that you send Shiftry with shields. As you see here, you start losing. You lose Ferrothorn, you lose Cresselia, you lose Gallade because close combat eats you in the next dimension. You still beat Gira-O, Gira-A. You also beat Armored Mewtwo, Poliwrath, Swampert because you Leaf Bladed to death, Scizor, Snorlax, but you lose against everything else. In other words, you have more losses than wins than you would in the zeros. As you see, and you lose against Lapras too. So you start losing matchups as soon as the zeros happen. So that's not good. In the closer, you still do good against a lot of against a lot of relevant meta picks. But because fighters, Charizard, and Charmers, just be really careful. Generally, you will see your opponent close out, it's happened to me a lot, I've seen a lot as well, where the Charmer 2-shield strat happens, so try to leave your shields with Shiftry. If you get locked into a Charmer, there's no coming back. However, if you can keep Shiftry away from its weaknesses, it can still do really well. Because even if you have shield advantage here, so 1-0s, the 1-0s, you can start picking up matchups like Charizard, you actually beat a lot of the meta with, as you see, you can beat Empoleon. Let's see, what matchups you used to lose. You can actually beat Machamp with a shield, so you can actually take out some fighters or flip the fighter matchup as long as you have a shield, because you get straight Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade, shield, Leaf Blade. So double Leaf Blade actually can take out your opponents. As you see here, you still lose against Muk, you still lose against Registeel, Togekiss, Toxicroak. However, shield advantage gives you a lot of play. It's just like I mentioned, be careful of those Charmers. In the 2-0s, you go to town, only losing to, I believe, the Charmers. So you only lose against Clefable, Gramble, and Togekiss, and Toxicroak. Okay, so actually you lose against one fighter. So you lose against, oh yeah, because Toxicroak does wall you, because poison and fighting walls, yeah, so you get wall. So anything that basically walls you, like Togekiss, or that double resist, like Toxicroak, you can actually beat Amok. So Amok is the one thing that you can actually beat in. I think you can beat in 2-1s too, but Toxicroak will beat you just because you're weak to fighting, and you can straight Leaf Blade. As you see here, Leaf Blade does enough damage to where you could take out with the Snarls. It adds up, and you're able to take out Amok in the 2-0s. And you beat everything but Charmers. So that's good. With shields, Shiftry does really well. However, it also really depends how much HP at this point Shiftry has. In the 2-1, Shiftry still does well with shield advantage. As you see here, with shield advantage, you can actually take out Abomasnow. You can beat Charizard. You convincingly beat Cresselia. In the 2-1s, you also are able to defeat... Let's see. You can beat Dragonite. You're able to take out... Of course, you take out Lapras. You beat Melmetal with shield advantage. So that's pretty good. You're able to beat Melmetal, as long as you don't need a superpower. As long as you don't need that superpower, you'll be fine. The Shadow one benefits with shield advantage more. As you see here, you're able to flip Obstagoon as well as Alolan Muk. However, I would still run the regular one, because the regular one still serves in most scenarios. You're gonna still lose against fighters like Toxicroak and of course Charmers as well. But as you see, you're able to beat Snorlax, Swampert, Scizor, Registeel. You can even beat Registeel as long as you have shield advantage. So as long as you have shield advantage, you can do well. You can beat Registeel. So 2-1s. So you also beat Venusaur. You also beat Gira. You beat a lot of relevant meta picks. So if you give Shiftry shield advantage, it does very well against a majority of the meta. Can you beat Articuno though? No, that's a big question. Do you beat Articuno? No, you don't beat Articuno. Articuno still wrecks your life, unless you're in the 2-0s, I believe. So the only way you beat Articuno is, I believe, if you're in the 2-0s. So Big Dark Elf Jiraiya is really strong. However, you need to be really careful. Yeah, you only win in the 2-0s. And even then, I think that's if you don't have like a lot of chip damage on Shiftry. So Shiftry is a fantastic anti-Metamon. You just have to be very careful, and you have to really know your stuff with it, because as you see, it's very dangerous to use in Open Ultra League. You win against a lot. You win really well against a lot of top meta picks. You just have to be really careful. So if I had to give Shiftry a rating, definitely an 8 out of 10. It should theoretically be like a 6 or a 7, just because, okay, because it dies so hard to fighters and Charmers, I just can't really advocate for it that much. So here's what happens. You go over here and you hit battle in the 2 shield, you only beat 58%, which is still a lot, but look at what you lose against Clefables, Togekisses, Scrafties, Machamps. Fighters are really prominent, and Charmers, because of the danger. However, if you are able to get locked into a good matchup, like against Swampert, etc., you do very well. So it's a great anti-Metamon, but it only does well against a lot of the heavy meta. Against a lot of the meta. That's pretty much it. It loses to so many archetypes, like fighters and Charmers, so hard that it's like really hard for me to recommend it. As you start losing shields, it gets progressively worse. As you see here, it gets progressively worse. Now, if you have shield advantage, it gets better. The thing is with Shiftry, the reason why it's so dangerous to run is because you need shields. You need shields, and you need to basically... it's not even, oh, okay, you can stay away from these matchups and still come out of it, which is still good. Shiftry can still come out if your opponent is down shields and you hit it with a Foul Play or Leaf Blade at certain HP ranges, you can still win. And it's going to win CMP against a lot of things because it has a high attack. However, you have to be really careful because of what is flying around. Charmers and fighters are very dangerous. It has such hard loss ratings, and they do so much damage that even if you eat one charm, it does heavy damage. However, if you give it shield advantage, it does very, very well. However, that's another thing. Shiftry needs to essentially have shields. If you don't have shields, it's very dangerous. If your opponent has a shield, it's almost an auto loss. As you see here, the 2-0 into 2-0, Shiftry will still beat a lot of the meta. In the 2-1s, it has a very good matchup against a lot of the meta. As you see, 80%. However, if your opponent has shield advantage, you're dead. There's almost no way out. There's almost no, yeah, as you see, there's almost no way out. So, if you look to best of worst, the only thing you beat is Swampert. So, if they have a Swampert, you can if they have a Swampert, you can come back. However, look at the, yeah, it's pretty much Swampert. Swampert is the only matchup you can essentially, is the only relevant one, I would say, that you come back from. Other than that, the rest of those are just fluff. But, yeah. Unless you get locked into, and even then, a Swampert down shields can still take you out if you're hurt. So Shiftry can still get taken out by Swampert at a certain range with Hydro Cannon and with Earthquake, just because it doesn't have high defense. So because of that, I have to give it an 8 out of 10, just because it's the pattern you see, Cresselia, Swampert, Lapras. What else do you see? Giratina. Those are very relevant mons, and you can still do very well. Because you beat those, I give it an 8 out of 10. And played in the hands of a really good player, you can actually do very well with Shiftry. However, it's not user-friendly. This isn't a mon that if you want to use it and you haven't practiced with it, or if you have no knowledge of it, that it's going to go in there and do really well for you. No, because of the amount of skill it takes, I can't give it any... I should ideally give it like a 6. Just because it's really 50-50. If you don't have shield advantage, it's a 50-50 matchup, because you have to have... Your opponent basically has to have what you're weak against, which happens most of the time, but just not enough to where I can be like, okay, I'm confident, because like I said, it's never comfortable for you to lose against many archetypes, like Fighters and Charmers. And Fighters and Charmers are popular in Open Ultra. Obstagoon, and you will see an Obstagoon, and you will see a Togekiss. However, you will see Cresselia, Swampert, and Giratina. So, with that, I give this is why I give Shiftry this rating. Like I said, Shiftry can do very, very well for you if it's played well, and if you're very confident in your abilities. However, it's not user-friendly. And that's all I have to say about Shiftry. I would use the regular one over the Shadow one too. Shadow can flip some matchups, however, however, it's not worth it in my opinion. You need as much bulk as you can with Shiftry, just because it is a glass cannon. It is very squishy. So don't use the Shadow, use the regular one. I think the regular level 51 will serve you well, and it's not difficult to find a level 50 Shiftry that's good for PvP IV-wise versus a Shadow one. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I hope this answers all the ones that asked me about Shiftry, your questions about Shiftry. It can do well, but like I mentioned, you have to play it well. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.